How's it going, everyone? I have a different video for you guys today. I wanted to talk about For Honor and what makes it good, and what makes it what it is, I guess. The reason I was making this is me and my friend the other day were kind of talking about the state of For Honor and I guess what keeps us playing, because I know some of us don't enjoy what the game is slowly becoming, and yet there's something that continuously is just pulling us back. So I wanted to talk about the reason the game is so good and why I don't think it'll ever not. I think it'll end up having a cult following, and I'll be making another video where I want to talk about what I think would be really cool as a For Honor 2, I guess, like a sequel. Now, a lot of this I just went ahead and went into AI matches. That way I could just go ahead and get as much of the gameplay as I could. And that's just because I was only trying to get small bits of each thing, and obviously if you leave a match that has players, you have a penalty. So I didn't want to deal with that. So diving into why I think For Honor's such a good game, even if I don't play it as often as I used to. I've written down a couple things. So for starters, it's just the setting. Like, these type of characters here. We'll talk about the characters first. I mean, the Knights are more of like my type of faction. I've always been really into ancient history, Greece, Rome, the medieval era. I've never really gone super into anything Viking, and I don't go very far into Norse stuff or Norse mythology either. Greece and Rome I studied quite a bit when I was in school, so those I do know some things of, and I do think the characters and the the way the game portrays each character having a slightly different play style, even if they're not like an actual different play style in some cases. I do think it is just nice knowing that some characters have a different feel about them. And that doesn't stop me from enjoying characters that I don't, obviously know. And before we say, like, it's a historical game, yada yada, it's not historical. Obviously, a ton of the armor, the weapons, all of this stuff is more fantasy-based than anything. Which I don't have a problem with. I feel like most video games are going to have to go fantasy, especially a game that's been around this long. But I think character choices and stuff like that is really cool. There's not a whole lot of games, if you really think about bigger games, there's not a whole lot of them that allow you to have this much customization with this, with a flow like this, I guess. Like, you could say games, let's see, what games allow you to like customize your armor, your weapons, and then also change the color of the armor, the patterns, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that's a strong thing this game has going for it. There are games that allow you to do stuff like that, but how many of them have this many medieval swords, axes, armor, and all the other stuff? I think this game definitely has that going for it. And I think it's not just that, but the other thing I want to talk about real quick is game modes. And just real quick, obviously we have duels. It's just a 1v1, first to 3 wins. We also have brawls, which again, first to 3 wins. It is a 2v2. Well, it's supposed to be a 2v2 unless you're like me, and if you're not playing with a friend, then your teammate rage quits before the match even starts. In which case, then it's just a 1v2 because a bot doesn't count. And I think the game modes and the setting really has something going for it. Now, if For Honor is going to make another game, which I'll talk about in another video, I haven't started it yet, but I want to go into a different era, and I'll talk about ideas and stuff like that afterward. So brawls are pretty self-explanatory. It's a 1v1 v1 basically. Sometimes it'll become like a 2v2 where ganking is allowed, which is fine. And this is mainly played by players that don't want the 4v4 kind of clustery combat, which is pretty understandable in my opinion. There's a lot of like cluster crap playlists where you can just get ganked beyond all measure, and if your team isn't also of a good level or understanding of the game, you're kind of just screwed. So that's what I'll say for that. And while we're on this video, I love the combat, the feel of certain characters. Gladiator I've always had a certain interest for, because the way he moves and everything about it just is really cool to me. The next game mode we got going on here is going to end up being one of the 4v4 modes. It'll be Dominion, which is the most played. Obviously, it's the most played on PC, most played on console, most played just everywhere. And Dominion is a 4v4. It's kind of like a Call of Duty domination. It's 3 flags. You need to hold the flags to get more points. The first team to hit 1,000 points will end up quote-unquote breaking the enemy team, which means if you kill them, they stay dead permanently. If you kill all of them, you win. Now, obviously, they can still win even if they're breaking. They can eventually get your team to be breaking, so on and so forth. This game mode does have one thing that I personally don't love, and that's just it is a 4v4 game mode, and a lot of the times I feel like I'm mostly on my own. A 1v2 isn't the worst thing. Now 1v3, 1v4, that's when you really start diving into the bad times. But this game mode pretty much stands on its own. It's, you know, it's Dominion, it's domination. It's very, very similar play style. It's the most played due to the amount of XP you gain. Breach is the other good one, assuming you have a very, very good team, but Dominion is just the most consistent XP. Alright, the next game mode we're going to talk about is Tribute, which is the most failed playlist in For Honor so far. Essentially, the way this works is you have 3 flags spread out in the center of the map. You have 3 places you can turn those in. One will allow you to see all of the enemies through walls, all that kind of stuff. One of them will allow you to have an attack boost, and the other one will give you a defense boost, which is the attack boost isn't a ton and the defense boost isn't a ton. It's just a slight edge. Now, the teams fight over these 3 flags. If at any point you get all 3 flags, a timer for your victory will begin, and you can win simply by that. Otherwise, when the time runs out, whoever has the most flags wins. Another thing that should be said, when you pick up a flag, it does decrease your movement speed, so you will be quite a bit slower when you're trying to get around places. So the damage increase that you get, Highlander I think does 30 damage per unblockable heavy, and it goes up to 36, which is a good increase. So yeah, keep that in mind. The damage increase is good. Personally, I think the most useful one is the eye, because it allows you, like I said, to see all the enemies through walls, so you can kind of know where they're going and keep track of them and kind of follow where they're going to be going. It just makes everything much, much simpler in the scheme of things. The reason Tribute ended up failing is you don't get a whole lot of XP from it. The game mode itself I don't mind, but the game mode takes quite a while to finish. It could go quickly if, again, you have a very organized team and you really, really know what you're doing. But for the most part, these games are going to drag out, and they're going to take close to, if not the full time. Unless, like I said, you just have a miraculously good team. So the main problem with the game mode is the fact that its XP gain is almost nothing compared to many of the other playlists. mainly Dominion, which is, again, why everyone is still playing Dominion. If Tribute offered more XP than Dominion, I feel like more people would play this, but again, Dominion's a very easy. You don't have to rely on teammates a whole lot. You just have to hope that they're playing the objective. One other thing for Tribute that ended up kind of going downhill was the fact that it just doesn't play super well. It almost feels like certain characters, for instance Highlander and Shigoki, they're already slower than the other members of the cast, so using them is actually an even bigger detriment because you're going to be even slower when you pick up the flag, which means you're basically moving at a snail's pace, so you almost don't want to pick up the flag, which, again, if you have an organized team, you can choose which characters are doing what. If you're wanting to play Shigoki, you'll be support for your team. It's just a very different game mode. Now, as a game mode for Honor, I think it works interestingly well. I like it, but it's very, very difficult to find a game, and the XP isn't worth it. But we'll get into some other ones that were like the greatest thing ever, but have since fallen from grace in just a minute. So, the next game mode we have is skirmish. Essentially, this is very, very basic. It is team deathmatch. Pretty much all that really needs to be said. So, the only differences, I guess, would be there is an attack booster you can pick up, a defense booster you can pick up, and then there is a star that you can pick up. Now, the star will give you all of your feats instantly. So that's, it's something. Now, this game mode, again, is one of those ones where it makes sense. And it's in almost every game. It's a good thing to have. But I think it still needs a little bit of a boost to XP if anyone's going to be playing it. There are also like health pickups and stuff that you can get. I think the only downside to this game mode currently is just the fact that, there's not a whole lot of XP to be gained. And if you're looking for more of a 4v4 ganking type of thing, there's no real reason to play this over Dominion. The one thing that is big with this one is sometimes you'll get this randomly if you're playing the deathmatch playlist. There is one other game mode in the playlist that has been played a ton by everyone. I remember it was the biggest game mode when this game first released, and that is actually Elimination. So we'll go ahead and go over to Elimination real quick, and there's a reason this one was the most played. So Elimination was by far the most played for the sole fact that it's just big game duels, essentially. Everyone spawns on a different corner of a 4v4 map, so you all are relatively far away. Ganking is most of the time at a minimum, but obviously ganking can still happen in any game mode. So if you were to win your duel early on, or just in general, there is an attack boost, a running booster, defense boost, and a health boost, same as skirmish, so you have the same general rules. If your teammates were not executed, you could go and pick them up. Early on in the game, this actually was a really big thing with revenge builds. I know there were some, I can't remember the name of the YouTuber, Lawbringer Main. They used to make them where he would get the first kill, wouldn't execute, and then he'd run over, pick up all the attack boost, the defense boost. He would grab anything and everything he could get, and then see how many people he could kill. And there were some times he'd kill 20 people in a single round because they'd keep rezzing each other, trying to take him down, and eventually he would just win. Obviously, that doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. Things have been balanced since then. But that was really cool to see when the game first came out. And this playlist, you know, it is what it is. It's pretty simple and fun. So the last one we have is Breach. The Breach game mode is one of my personal favorite. It can give you better XP than Dominion if done right. So essentially the way this works is we have 3 bases here in this first area, and we have our ram. Each base you take out takes out a group of archers that are shooting down at your pikemen. Now keep in mind, pikemen are basically the engine of what's moving in this. I'll get more on that in a sec. So if you take Zone 1 and 2, you've taken out all of the archers. Zone 3 is actually the cauldron where they can damage your ram. They can only damage the ram once the ram is obviously close enough. You can pour the cauldron down onto it. It's a pretty basic understanding and idea. Now, pikemen take 2 heavy hits to kill from most characters. And they do pretty good damage to you. They do about a light attack worth of damage per hit, but because there are so many of them, they can damage you really, really easily. Now, if at any point those pikemen are near your ram, it'll slow your ram down and your men will have to kill the pikemen. If you clear out all of the pikemen and you stand next to your ram, you can actually double, or quote-unquote double. You'll see it in the top right, it'll show 2 symbols, like as if fast-forwarding the ram moving forward, rather than just moving it forward at a snail's pace. Of course, you need to get to the gate and destroy it. This takes about 3 hits. There is a flag that will spawn in the first area that can give the gate more health or give your ram more health, depending on which team turns it in, which will also determine how many hits it takes for the cauldron to destroy the ram or the ram to destroy the gate. In the second area, you'll be doing the exact same thing, except this time there is a guardian. Now, killing the guardian will give you revenge for a small period of time. It'll make your eyes glow blue, letting everyone know that you killed the guardian. And it'll make all pikemen a one-shot, allowing you to just clean house, essentially. And this works for both teams. The defenders can also do it. Everyone can do it. It doesn't matter. The final area is very straightforward. You just kill the boss. And that is Breach. It does take a little bit longer, but it feels the best to me personally. And that's all the game has in it right now. But I think the big thing, the point of this whole video is looking at the game and what it has to offer from a different perspective, I guess. What makes this game so good is the fact that they pulled off a medieval game like this with these kind of game modes, and it works. It simply works, and you will not find this anywhere else. The combat system, you will never find anywhere else. The game modes, just everything functions extremely well. Now, balance in terms of PC, console, that's a topic for a whole different day, and I've made my points on those about the way balancing feels in terms of which system you're playing on. But at the end of the day, I think they at least have to be applauded for the fact that they even made this game work. Because I'm looking around at other games, and I've been kind of at a moment recently where I'm trying to find a game I would enjoy playing, and I can't find anything that's as crazy or medieval as For Honor, which leads me to playing just basically any kind of game. And the thing is, For Honor did a lot of stuff right. They basically pioneered their own game, which is why I'm hoping to see another one. For new players coming to the game, yes, there's a lot to learn, and yes, there's a lot of characters, and they are starting to reuse a lot of assets, which some people can claim as COVID, some people can claim as this. I think it's just that they're starting to have issues figuring out what else to add to the game. And with balancing being such a hot topic, I don't... There is a thing... I think what should be said as to why this is a good game and this is like my closing remark, is that they did it all correct, and I love the time period, and I know a lot of other people do, otherwise this game wouldn't have succeeded. And regardless of how bad the balancing is, I still come back, because the game just feels fun, and it feels fun and enjoyable, and you get to change the way you look, you get to use all these amazing weapons. I hate it. I hate the game sometimes, but my goodness, I can't stop playing it. And I think that's the one thing I want to point out. So anyone sitting here that is watching this wondering why I'm making this video, it's because I want to communicate that the game is extremely good, even though it does have its balancing problems. And people that are leaving the game because of balance, I completely understand it. The balance in playing multiplayer does suck. And that's why I play against AI a lot of the time, because it just feels smoother. But you can't say the game is absolutely horrible when it has achieved as much as it has. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ubisoft fucked that one up. There's a lot of stuff going wrong with that, and bugs and all kinds of stuff. My wife's been playing it. She's at 70 hours now, and the amount of bugs she's run into has caused a problem. But at least For Honor has made it through. I mean, they still have their bugs. They still have their problems. But I think at the end of the day, we should all at least appreciate that a company was willing to make a medieval game like this. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that's what makes this game so good and continues to bring people back, is the fact that you're not going to really find this experience anywhere else. The combat, everything like this. You can say, Dark Souls has fantasy medieval, but For Honor has a different combat system, and it feels really, really good. And that's mainly the point I wanted to get across, is it doesn't matter how bad the game modes are, it doesn't matter how good the game modes are. The characters, the game modes, everything somehow just works together extremely well. And that's basically what I wanted to get across. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below, what's your favorite character, what's your favorite game mode? Is this the same reason that you're coming back, or do you have your own reasons, or have you never left? Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.